Hi, Chris here, and welcome to Chapter 5 of the WhatsApp course with High Level. This is a really important one to remember. We talked at the very start of this course about the difference between WhatsApp for Business and WhatsApp API. And one thing I didn't mention at that stage is conversation windows. Now, with WhatsApp's API, you have a window in which you can have a live conversation with a prospect, with a lead, with a customer. And that is a 24-hour window that starts the second you receive a message from that person. So if somebody sends you the first message, you have 24 hours in which you can go back with absolutely anything, voice notes, type anything, send a selfie of yourself. You can do all of that exactly the same as you would in normal WhatsApp. But if 24 hours passes since they last replied to you, and every time they reply, that clock resets. But if 24 hours passes, Meta closes the conversation. Now, outside of a closed conversation, we can still send messages to people 24/7, 365 days of the year, but they have to be template messages and they have to be pre-approved by Meta. In the next bit of the course, we're going to talk about template messages, what they are, how they work, and how to get the interaction from them. But it's important to remember that when you set up WhatsApp API, you can't just aimlessly type in anything the same way that you might do an email. Now, this is actually very good for us as businesses. It means that the barrier to entry for spammy messages is really high. So for those businesses that are trying to use this in unscrupulous ways to just cold DM people and do all of that stuff, this prevents that, or at least limits that. We can't send a message to somebody outside of that 24-hour window where they've sent the message back to us or they've sent the first message to us without that message having been approved by Meta. And I'll show you how that works. There are some hints and tips that I will give in the next chapter on how to make those template messages both really engaging and also have ones for when that 24-hour window closes, just in case it takes you a little bit longer to get back to somebody than you wanted it to be. But it's also another reason why it's incredibly important to get people engaging with your messages and replying to them, and we'll talk about that as we go through. That 24-hour window, you can't change. That is a 24-hour window that is imposed on WhatsApp API, very similar to the window that you'd have on DMs, to make sure that the messages that are being sent out are what people are expecting, have been validated, are part of that conversation, and to protect the WhatsApp platform for becoming just a spammy free-for-all across the board, kind of how email is to a point for a lot of people. As long as you're using WhatsApp correctly, this is really good. This is really good for us. And combine that with the message rate limits that we've talked about earlier on in terms of going through the numbers, the amount of spammy messages people get is going to be less, and those spammy businesses are going to be blocked very quickly, while we can maintain having a very fluid and very effective conversation with users in a way that they can't. So it's important to know about that 24-hour window, and some of the hints and tips that we will give as well, we'll be able to go in the next chapter.